And welcome. My name is Henning Pauli, and I embarked on a journey to do a buyer's guide for ATEM, Blackmagic Design ATEM switches, starting at $295. Thank you, Sweetwater, for commissioning this series. And then went down a rabbit hole, and now I'm in it again along, what's her name, Alice. Hey, Alice. So I'm showing you different ATEM setups. We started with really just an ATEM Mini Pro and a GoPro. Inexpensive setups, using a switcher with a camera that you already have, ramping up to 2 Blackmagic cameras on a switcher and some other stuff, ramping up to one of the SDIs, and now I'm showing you where this can go if you are a bit nuts. And I'm showing you my 3 studios. And I wanted to do it all in one video, but that's not possible because I actually want to explain to you how things are set up, how you can creatively put together the Lego pieces of this system with existing cameras you might have, Blackmagic stuff, pros and cons. So I'm running you through the full setup of all 3 studios. Studio C I already filmed, that's a separate video. We are now here in my main studio, which we call Studio A. Boring, I get it. In Studio C, actually, it is a studio. There's lights, there's a truss system, there's tripods. It is around the thing that you're actually filming. It looks like a studio. There's clearly cables on the floor. You walk in and it is a studio that is used for this. In here, I didn't want that. I work in here all day. I live here. So I wanted the cameras and everything to be part of the room without running into cables and tripods. So a couple of years ago, we completely redid this room, redid the flooring, redid the whole table, and took the video stuff into account and worked around it. Because before it was just an audio studio with cables everywhere because the video came as an afterthought. Now the video is the main star. So in this room, we have right now 10 cameras. Can you find them? They're clearly there, but do you see any tripods on the floor? Do you see any lighting stands? Any of it? No, you don't. So let me run you through each one and show you where they are, what they do. Maybe we start with the lighting, why not? The main light here is a Light Panels Gemini 2x1, pretty overkill, extremely heavy, running at 24% right now. And that's actually on the ceiling with one of those holes that you have if you're handicapped for the bathroom. But it works. These panels are just normal panels from the hardware store that I installed years ago when LED panels just came out. They're usually also on. So of course that's mixed lighting, but it works because the Gemini is pretty strong. These are also just normal panels from the hardware store that we use as kind of a side fill. And you know what? They are important when we film and they work. Everyone's going to tell you that the CRI isn't right and all that, but you know what? Hey, do my videos look like shit? I don't think so. Back to a professional video light. This is a Dedo D-LED 4, different colors and intensities. And this is what we use to frame me from the background, so it's a halo light, okay, a headlight. That's it as far as lighting goes. We've got this in the back again to fill a bit, and then loads of little color accents, which you can't really show on camera because they will flicker unless they're actually a warm light. So you can see, like if they're colors, they might flicker. So back to where the cameras are. We have on the product, which right now is a pedal that's on the table over there, we have way too many cameras on there. It just ended up that way, but that actually means I don't have to do a lot of B-roll, and I can point at that side of the pedal, that side of the pedal, or the back of the pedal, and we can switch to it, which makes the videos very easy to edit later on. So this is we call it the back camera, and it shows you that table, which means Leslie can switch to it to show the audio interface, the pedal, other effects, or the tuner that we go to. So anything that's on the table will easily be there. I don't have to think about putting that in the edit later. Now, that is one of the Blackmagic Studio cameras, the old one. That's the 4K Blackmagic Studio camera. I have 5 of these. The new ones are better. They have a better screen, they have a touch screen, but there's no need to sell this because it does a great job, especially when you're just turning it on and leaving it on. So I've got an Edelkrone, what's it called? Something head on there. And then also a little spider stand from Edelkrone. It's very nice. I don't actually need a tripod over here. And that lens is a 120mm lens, which of course with MFT, if you followed my videos, is about a 240. So we are zoomed in, let me see, pretty much all the way now. This is all the way zoomed in because look, we're pretty far away. But that way the camera can be in the background, out of the way. We've got the same setup here. Flex tilt head, that's what it's called. This is a flex tilt head Pro, can carry more weight, and you can actually lock it. And again, on one of those stands, again, the same camera. That's got focus peaking on right now. And that is actually showing you the amp wall. So anytime I'm switching to a different amp, Leslie can go to that camera and you see the amp wall. And why do I have an extra camera on the amp wall? Isn't that stupid? Well, it's all about marketing. If I can show amps on that wall, then companies are willing to put amps on that wall, and it's advertising space. That's the honest truth. That is why we switched to that camera, so things get seen. Also, it's cool. On here right now, because I ran out of lenses, I actually have a rather inexpensive lens, 12 to 60, but not the good one, not the Leica one. This is, I don't know how much it is. It's not the greatest lens, but you know what, for this camera and this angle, it absolutely does the job. And here on the new table, boy, this video is going to be long, I'm sorry. But hey, it gives you ideas, I hope. The camera right now has 12 volt in with this cable. That didn't have the small plug on like on the new ones, and it's got in and out for program, and so out for program and in for the video out, and in for a program to be remote controlled. And all three cables are going into the table right here, and then run around the room into the control room. But this way, nothing hangs, you know, in the back or whatever. You have the shortest cable run before the cable actually disappears. And here I've got a power for a battery charger. The same thing over here, tucked between a little plant and another little plant. You see another hole in the table, right? That's also power for the nice color light. And it comes up through this black cable channel, can't avoid that. There we have a Triad Orbit wall mount, Triad Orbit OA. And I talked about the small rig cages for the micro cameras. They are great because that way you can see I can actually attach the camera from the side and not just on top and bottom. That gives me a beautiful angle. This is a Cine lens. It is manual, so that means Leslie cannot remote control that lens. So I have to always go and set it up, but that's okay. We communicate. And that films the pedal way over there. And I'll show you what that does. Right there. It's a pretty sexy shot with very little things in focus, but it's just a sexy shot, and if there's anything on that side of the pedal, I can show it. Necessary? Absolutely not. Cool? Yes. So that's why that is there. The red is here for the work that I do when I do a produced track or I do like the music video style stuff. I use the red, which is connected with an SDI cable and can actually be shown directly on this Sumo where I've got focus peaking and all that stuff. So that's why the Sumo is here from Atomos. So I do that with this camera. I've got it on a wooden stand, made it myself. I also have a nucleus focus contraption on here because it's all manual lenses. And if I wanted that camera in the system, all I got to do is connect that cable right there. And that goes right here, see, through these brushes. These are actually very handy. Out into this patch bay. None of this is connected, but we've got L1234, and that means left side of the room from the back. 1, 2, 3 are actually going into the video hub in the other room, so they can be incorporated into the system really fast. And L4 is an output. So if I want to, let's say, put a little monitor on the table and show whatever I want on that monitor, it can be digitally routed to L4. Very nifty. This is actually the main cam. So no, we're not using the red as the main cam. Why? We're using another micro 4K with a 12-35 Leica lens. That's a fixed 2.8 aperture for the people that care. And I have a zoom lens on here so that I can get the right frame for where I'm sitting. And again, mounted on the side, tride orbit, extender arm. The cables, these are summer cables, these with these nice mini SDI. And they have the right, I think it's a male to female BNC right there. And that goes again down a cable channel into the table. See, right there, ooh, it's dusty. Into the table and bye-bye. And you can see a lot more cables because this is also where the TVs are. So when I'm sitting right there, there's the program. So I see what Leslie does, which is why I'm sometimes looking to the right of the camera, which I shouldn't. And there's multi-view. So I know what she's going to put into preview. I know the other cameras. I can see everything that she's prepping in the other room. So I can fully see my program and the multi-view. Light is above it. And did you see the camera? This is one of the guitar cameras. And yet again, a micro 4K. It is right there. Again, in a cage. Here, it wouldn't really be that necessary because it's mounted from the bottom. Also going on one of those wall mounts and then through a cable channel right behind the table. Because this whole table, this is a good little tip, this whole table on the back has a nice long cable channel with brushes, and I can fold that up. I think it's 4 of them combined. So on the whole, where are we? On the whole length, right there. This is all capable of getting cables behind the table in a nice fashion. You see there's cables going in there. There's a little power cable going in. Of course, behind the audio interface, look at that. Many cables going in. And that's a very nice and clean way to get your cables stashed and not having them run over the table. So here is another guitar cam. Very, very simple on a little Manfrotto stand with the cables that I showed you in the camera video. Very inexpensive. These are, I think, 2 meters going on the table. And power and those cables go into this thing. So they don't run over the table anywhere when you're putting the camera right on top of it. They are pretty much gone. And of course, they're running under the table. Where are they? There's the hole they come out of. And then under the table, they are right there. They should be here. Wait. This is what the hook is for. So yeah, cable management obviously here. And this is really just the tip of the iceberg. That's my FX6. Why do I have this? Well, because this camera can do autofocus really well. If I hold anything into the camera, this is the camera where I do hold a product into it and it autofocuses really, really nicely. And it is SDI going right there in the groove. And I can easily unplug that, use it for something else, but plug it back in, and I have a very nice wide-angle camera that is the favorite. Leslie calls it the favorite, and that's what that looks like. See right there? Neat. Very important, this camera. This is the top cam, as we call it. Obviously, you know why? Because it films the pedal from the top. Again, Blackmagic Design Micro 4K. With in and out, going all along here, into a cable channel. And in the middle, you'll see there's another tride orbit attachment. So I can actually take this down to about half height if I wanted to, if I need to zoom into something more. And then it goes down and the cables disappear under the table. Yes, under the table it looks wild. And this will look like so. Which you actually never see because we're cutting all that stuff out and putting the pedal picture in picture, which I'll show you in the next room. We haven't talked about audio and we won't. This is the pedal side cam, which sometimes I have on a little stand. Now I've got it on an IOC from Triad Orbit and a little ball head. But that's a good thing with these cameras. You can actually use these and they are not heavy. So a little ball head like this can hold it. Again, everything is on power, of course. And on these cameras, I have to admit, it was extremely annoying to have the whole cable harness. There were loads of cables. I did dare to just cut them off, which sometimes causes problems, but really just use the power cable. Blackmagic Design refused to make a simple just power to serial. They said, you can make one yourself. Well, I cannot. So now they learned their lesson and the new cameras only have power and not that whole harness of possibilities because I don't think anyone used it. This camera, also a 12-35, not inexpensive, but I can zoom in and out. And that is the pedal side shot, which shows you this. And then, of course, that means I can have a little talk about the back of the pedal and have another cool shot with some blurriness back and forth. So that's very nice. And here I have a 12-60. This is also the Leica lens, the same that I've got in Studio C above, which means I can actually zoom in quite a bit. Nice lens, about as much as the camera. There's a tally light on it right now, which of course I would never see, but it's red. And that disappears in the table right there. If I'm doing software stuff, Leslie will actually be able to cut out a piece of software just like she cuts out a pedal. We just have to get that screen into the system. And the way to do that is very simple. I've got this video assist. I turn it on. Let's see if that works. I go Thunderbolt out into the HDMI of the screen. And now you can see, there's the Mac. 2160p25, which is very important. It needs to be the right resolution. And then I'm going SDI out into the system. And now I'm able to just use that as an angle. So look at the program. Bam, there is the Mac. Now I could, of course, cut that software out and put it picture in picture with me into the shot. So all I got to do screen capture in real time, cutouts, all that stuff, is turn this thing on. Which of course means this thing is always here, and it's kind of wasted potential, but it serves its purpose. There's my main computer, and over here, you see two holes in the walls, close together, and that's where all the cables go. And you can see, it is a shit ton of cables that are being collected from all around the room going in there. So let me show you a little bit. I don't know if I can. So this is where things come together. And up there are those holes. Obviously there's audio, there's power, there's network. But everything kind of comes together and goes into those holes up there. And we have a lot of cable management here. Everything green that you see is very likely video, actually definitely video. And it's a good idea to get these cables instead of any kind of black SDI cables because you can distinguish them very, very easily from your normal audio cables. And also here, you don't see that many cables. This is where the dog lives. Because we've got these two cable channels right there. And they house most of the green SDI cables. So if you look in the back there, they come out way in the back. So going from one side of the room to the other is happening through these channels. On the floor there somewhere is a converter. Yeah, there's an HDMI to SDI converter, and there's an HDMI cable somewhere. So if I wanted to plug in some kind of HDMI camera, all I gotta do is pull the cable through the hole on top of the table and plug in the camera and we're good to go. Because there's another hole. Pull out the cable, plug in the camera, good. There's another hole, which is for audio cables. There's another hole for whatever I need, sometimes power. And there, of course, is another hole. So having these around the table is a very, very good idea. And on the right side of the room, I also have an SDI patch bay. I also have an XLR patch bay, but here's an SDI patch bay with, again, only 4 attached. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, R4 right side of the room. And we've got 3 inputs again and 1 output. So if I want to hook up a screen on the right side of the room, I can do it. I want to hook up 3 cameras right there. Very, very quickly done, and it all goes into the system. Let's talk about the system for a sec. Of course, it's all handled from the control room, but as you can see, I have a multi-view. I have a program. On the Sumo over there, I could have anything. Literally, I could have program, preview, multi-view, any of the cameras individually, because I have a cable going to it from the video hub. Let's see if we can find this. There's video hub control. So from here, I'm connected with Ethernet to the video hub. And these are all my sources. Here are all the cameras. We've got different converters. There's R1. So there's R1 is an input right there. We've got, these are not used anymore. I need to clean this up because the 12x12 is now somewhere else. We've got program 1, 2, 3, 4 because I've got an ATEM 4ME, so I've got 4 different programs if I wanted to. There's different aux outputs, an HD down convert program, which is going to a Holyland, program 1, program 2, multi-view, multi-view 2, because with the 4ME you've got 2 multi-views, which you will see in the other room. Hyperdecks, and here are the R3, R2, R3, and these are all kind of sources. So let's say I wanted to put, where are we? Somewhere it needs to say Sumo. These are the TVs over there. This is for pedal side control. Studio bottom, oh my God. Here, Studio TV top, Studio TV bottom. That's what we just looked at. So let's say Studio bottom. Studio bottom is showing program. Well, let's say I wanted to show the pedal top. And I'm not using the switcher right now. I'm actually hard wiring a different camera into it. So I'm going pedal top. And look at this. It's now showing pedal top. Guitar 1. And back to program. So I could put anything on there. I can put anything actually on any TV in the house, including my living room, upstairs. Because sometimes I film there and then I use that TV, I could route a signal in there. And here are all the inputs to the ATEM. It is a 40x40 video router. And if you have a system like this, this means you don't have to pull cables and plug cables in. If you planned it right, you're doing everything digitally right here. I can send something else to this distributor, which should be programmed right now, and it is. Living room TV right now is showing program if I wanted to. And these are the screens in the other rooms. So one of them is showing multi-view. One of them is showing program. These need to be renamed because they're now different TVs. The others broke. There's an hyperdeck. I can record anything on the hyperdeck and so on. So this video hub is amazing, but it hurts when you buy it, trust me. So I can do that from here. I can, of course, control the switcher from here. There's the software. Of course, Leslie does that, but I can do it from here if I wanted to, obviously. But sometimes it's annoying to have the software open, do it with the mouse. So while we're setting up, I sometimes want to see a certain camera. And then I've got a Stream Deck right here with the software called Companion, which is actually free. And you can see the Stream Deck kind of looks like an ATEM switcher, right? Here's a row of program. Here's a row of preview. Here's actually more cameras without program preview. cut, auto, macros, keying. So let's look at this. I can do this all. Key, on, off, pedal side, favorite, guitar 2, pedal top. Here's the Mac. Oh, well, we turn it off. Let's go from here to here with a fade transition. Yes, we can do that. So I can actually, if I'm doing a live stream or a video where I don't have Leslie, or I'm doing a long lesson where I don't want to do, switch for 8 hours, I can do it all from here myself. Pretty nifty. This is where I work. Now we're going to go into the control room, which is through the kitchen. I mean, many of you already have seen this stuff. This is where I keep my sweaters on the piano. So here's the control room. And with the 4ME, which this is, don't be fooled that it says 2ME Broadcast Studio. It's actually the 4, because this is very old. And with the software update, it just became the 4. So all of a sudden, I bought something used that then was worth $3,000 more. It is a 12G capable 4ME switcher with 20 inputs. And then I got this 40x40 video hub, which is a 6G version. There's one of the new HyperDeck Pro 4K things, and this is the old HyperDeck Pro. And I don't know if you can hear this. Yeah, I'm sure you can. These things are jet engines. Damn, the DJI noise cancelling is good. You couldn't hear it. Let's see if the iPhone is capturing this. They're so loud that if I'm upstairs, I can still hear them. That's a downside to the old generation. I wouldn't recommend buying the old generation. Unless you find a 2ME or 4ME used somewhere, go right ahead, because a 4K capable rack switcher right now will run you €9,500 or $9,000. So yes, it's very expensive. The 4K equivalent, the new version, the Constellation 4K, which I would love to have. I would love to have the new Smart Video Hub 40x40, because they have newer features, but also they don't sound like jet engines. Blackmagic Design was notorious for using very cheap fans. My brother modded a couple of my old things like a HyperDeck and the 12x12 video hub and made them whisper quiet. So with something like this in the back, you can tell it's very, very, very crowded. That video hub, that's the one on top that you're looking at right now, there are 2 or 3 ins and outs open. Sometimes I've switched things around. Usually it's completely full. And getting in there and changing things, trust me, if you're not organized, you're screwed. You have to have lists of things. And the same thing goes, of course, for the switcher that we're looking at now. Completely full, all the ins and outs completely used. And here's actually where it goes into the holes in the wall. Right there. Sometimes you can see that there's a green cable. And that actually runs, don't ask me, somewhere here. Oh, over here. You can see those in places around the house. So you can see it's actually a lot longer right there. And here we got a cable called Bruno. And that usually sits right here with an HD video transmission system, so that on the other side of the street, over there in the driveway, look, it snowed, we can have a video signal for Gear Street. This is all pretty crazy. I get it. I know. Don't tell me. Okay, so that's the rack, which I custom built, and you can see it's quite a bit wider on the left and right. There is a video of me building this, and actually on top. And I made this so that when you're fiddling around in the back, you have enough room to work. So yes, it is quite a bit bigger than it should be, but that is by design. There's an old i5 Mac Mini, really only to run the ATEM software on this HD monitor that I had left over. The only thing that Leslie does there is camera control, focusing. That's what we need it for. I would love it if they added that to the advanced panels, like they have it on the 4K8, because the camera control there is great. But no, Leslie has to have camera control right there, and that's where she focuses and sets up the cams. And we have the advanced panel. Obviously, I'd love to have a bigger one. Who wouldn't love to have a bigger one? Because I have 20 inputs, I'd love to have 20 buttons. Of course, I can push shift and have another row of them. Double click shift. I learned that way late that you can actually double click. When you work with something like this, you could work with the software, but trust me, you want the advanced panel. I bought that relatively early on, and it really made a difference. Here's another PreSonus Studio Live that, in this case, doesn't do too much. I could do audio routing and all this. Realistically, it's taking a stereo feed from the studio into the ATEM, really just for reference audio. I never really use that. I could, but it is, when you're doing guitar stuff, you want to edit later, so that doesn't really help me. But I could have loads of mixes and route them into different places. The ability is there. I can also, and we have done this in the past, record directly on the mixer on SD cards. Here's a Samsung screen for program, which absolutely helps in that size, even though it's a little bit, seems a little bit overkill when you're sitting here, but focusing on it is very helpful. So if I'm here, I can now, in the software, you can see focus to your heart's delight and really see what is, where am I? Really see what's going on. Because if you were to try that up there, then even though this is a 4K screen and the switcher has a 4K multi-view out, you would then only get HD. You're only getting a quarter of it. And if this was an HD screen, you're only getting SD, and you can't really see enough detail to focus adequately. You can actually see, since we have 10 cameras down there, we only have 8 in the multi-view. There isn't much you can do about that. What we can do, for example, and Leslie sometimes does that, she'll put another one into the preview. But because the ATEM 4ME has 2 multi-view outs, and the Constellation actually has 4 multi-view outs, I have a second screen up there, which is never really on, but that is actually multi-view 2. And it's actually showing you ME2 program and ME2 preview. So you could put more angles in there, and you can see we had setups where we had, 14 cameras, living room main camera, Rafa singing, living room amps. We were running actually the living room studio and the studio down here for Gear Street for years, back to back, a video here, a video upstairs, a video here, a video upstairs, and all we did is just switch the set of cameras with the shift. So on one level we had the cameras for here, made a video. On the next level on the next shift we had the cameras for upstairs, and then ran a video upstairs. So that was all totally possible. We did that for Gear Street 1, 2, and 3, and then for 4 we had a separate setup upstairs with the Television Studio 4K, and for Gear Street 5 we had the new studio next door. So if necessary, Leslie could see me down there. She doesn't really want to. Oh, I was going to talk the last thing about a cutout. Now, you can, and this is pretty annoying, which is why we have this panel, you can, if you wanted to, cut out this key right there, and you can see the key right now is not the right size. It's not all of the pedal. So you can go into the software and do it right there. You can position it. Do not click these. That's annoying. You can grab the X and pull it around. That is faster. Let me show you. Okay, much faster. I learned that years into working with this. But then you have this mask, which means how you're cutting it out. And doing this, and let me show you how fast that is. Do you see something happening? Yeah, extremely slowly. So if I grab the word top and I move it, it's quite a bit faster. But with this panel, we're on DVE, pedal top, rotations, we don't want rotations. Here is left, top, bottom. And let me show you how fast that is now. So here's left. Let's move this over here. So while it's big, do left, do right. There's the right side of the pedal. There's the bottom. We have the border on. We kind of like that. Cut this off, and you're done. Okay, now for position. This is why you have the stick. And on the advanced panels, you have this. And you also have it on the 4K8, which I have in Studio C, but not on the HD, on the 8HD or the 8HD ISO. I don't know why. It's sad, I think, because the things are $3,000 and $4,000. But you can move the key around, and by twisting it, you can resize. So let me show you. Twist to the left, resize. Twist to the right, move it around. So what Leslie does when we do a setup for a video, she does a big version, and then, let me show you. Set B for big, that's how we do it. Now, she makes it small, so when I'm playing, it's not in the way. Let's say over here, and I sit there with the guitar and she can look at it. Set A, override. Now either you could be in this thing and say, run to B, run to A, but we actually put this on macros. So go to macro, and you can actually see big and small. We also have a couple of other macros depending on what we do, but big and small. So Leslie can sit here, and if I'm done talking about this is how the video starts, and if I'm done talking about the pedal I'm starting to play, all she got to do is hit this. From now on, it stays at that size. At the very end, when I talk about the pedal again, if you know my videos, she hits big, and it becomes big again. This is why the investment in this, again, it hurts, but it's very much worth it, because if you do this all day long, and sometimes we're doing 3, sometimes 4, 5 pedal videos in a row, efficiency is of the essence. So really quickly, cutting it out, small, big, bam, it takes her a minute, and then we're ready to go for the next video. IK Multimedia iLouds for monitoring, talkback mic, which could technically go into the ATEM. I think this ATEM also has talkback, but we're not really implementing any of the audio stuff. The newer ATEMs have, of course, the Fairlight mixer and a lot more options, and the 4K8 has pretty good talkback stuff, including on the panel you can hit and do talkback. I haven't really looked into that because I'm utilizing the Studio Live, and Leslie can just hit talk, go in here, and in the studio, it comes out of this baritone. So it's the only reason for this to be here is so that I have talkback with Leslie. And I myself have this gravity stand here, pull this over, and there's my Schoeps C-Mid Mini for my audio in about this position. You confused? Now the point is, this didn't just show up at my doorstep. I didn't just say, oh, let's spend all this money and buy this. I did buy a lot of it, actually some of these studio cameras and the video hub, and actually the switcher too. I bought them at a used sale. Someone bought up a TV station, or someone who bought all of that couldn't handle it and closed shop immediately, and then sold it off on eBay. And I bought a big lot of what he had and got a good deal on it. I did that before Gear Street 1, spent quite a bit of money, but I didn't actually pay new money for it. It was used. Of course, I did buy some of the Micro 4Ks used, some stuff new. I'm very happy to have the room where the cameras are not in my way. It's clearly a room with many cameras, but they're kind of hidden enough and tucked away enough, especially with cables and power, that they don't get on my nerves. And when Leslie comes over and I say, well, let's make a video, I'm still setting up audio and stuff. She walks around, turns on the cameras, starts to get lighting, white balance and stuff. It'll take us about 5 to 10 minutes to start recording a video with 9 cameras and possibly a Mac on and picture-in-picture and all that stuff. That is extremely efficient, I think. When we're done, I go to the Hyperdeck, I'm recording in two at the same time. Why? Redundancy. What if a hard drive fails? What if we just spend 4 hours recording videos and then the hard drive has an issue? They don't, but they can. So A, for Gear Street, I can record a ProRes on the upper one because that's what it does. And this is one of the newer ones, which can do H.265, so HVAC in compressed format, which I record for Gear Street for easy upload on the web, so that the channels later can grab their video files. In here, right now, it is set to, I don't know, record, codec, oh, ProRes. I'll pull the drive, go back in the studio, and just like in Studio C, smack it into this drive bay from Blackmagic Design. And Fred's your uncle, I'm ready to go and drag the files over onto my really fast internal drive from OWC. Or work from this if I wanted to. Here's also an Ultra Studio 4K. It's rarely on because I rarely do live streams. But I got that so I can do 4K live streams if I wanted to. So that actually is a Thunderbolt 2 interface. And if I'm correct, there should be a cable here somewhere. In here, under the pedals, is a cable that I pull out, put a laptop there, go into Wirecast, and I'm good to go with just one file that Wirecast gets. And nowadays, the switchers have that ability built in. So it would eliminate, if I had one of the newer switchers here, even a 4K 8 would be, no, I can't. 4K 8 has 8 inputs, and we're already at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus the Mac, 10 inputs. Can't do it. So I would actually, for here, no shit, I would need a Constellation, 4ME Constellation 4K. And that's $9,500. And trust me, I don't have $9,500. It looks like I do, but I don't. Yeah, upgrading here has to wait a bit unless Blackmagic Design sees this and says, hey, we love that man. Let's work with a man. Maybe. So this was Studio A. There's a separate video for Studio C. Different, actually very different in terms of also Blackmagic stuff, but other things you can see. And then we have a separate video for Studio B, which incorporates some non-Blackmagic cameras and some cheap stuff. And I'm gonna go over there and record that right about now. So thanks for watching. I don't know why you did this for so long, but maybe you got some ideas for your tables, inlets in tables. Maybe you got some ideas for where to put your cameras. Maybe Triad Orbit was a thing that you liked. Maybe it gave you ideas for your studio. Of course, if you're doing, gaming videos with 2 cameras, don't go nuts like I did. I do guitar videos. Why do I have this? Let's not open that can of worms. I need pills. Thank you to Sweetwater so much for being part of the series and getting me started on it. And as I always, I put links below. Please use them. That really helps me, and Animals at the end.